Domitian's corpse had barely grown cold when Rome breathed a sigh of relief. The tyrant who ruled with suspicion and iron-fisted cruelty was finally gone. Senators flooded the streets. With forced smiles, slaves whispered prayers of gratitude. Even generals, hardened by decades of war, felt the tension in their shoulders loosen. But beneath the surface, Rome trembled. The empire had no leader, no successor, no plan. Chaos loomed. In the hours that followed Domitian's assassination, the Senate acted with desperate speed. Out of fear or clarity, history still debates it, but their decision would become one of the most unexpected turning points in Roman history. They chose Marcus Cocius Nerva, a man whose greatest weapon wasn't a sword, but his mind. Nerva was no soldier, no conqueror, no tyrant. He was a scholar, a seasoned statesman, a calm presence in a city that had forgotten what stability felt like. He had served multiple emperors, survived multiple purges, and somehow kept his integrity intact. And now, Rome placed its fate in the hands of an aging diplomat. At first, people doubted him. The Praetorian Guard, still loyal to Domitian, glared at the new emperor. The legions on the frontiers questioned his strength. Ordinary citizens wondered if another political disaster was unfolding. But Nerva had a gift Rome desperately needed: restoration. In the weeks after taking power, he did something unthinkable. He reversed Domitian's reign of terror. He freed political prisoners. He stopped the confiscation of property. He recalled exiled senators and poets. He dissolved the secret police Domitian had used to spy on Rome's elite. Rome, wounded and exhausted, slowly started to heal. But as peace returned, a new danger grew. Nerva was old, too old, and he had no heir. Worse, he had no military credibility. The legions did not fear him. The Praetorian Guard barely respected him. All it would take was one ambitious general. One march on Rome, and the fragile peace would shatter. The breaking point finally arrived when the Praetorian Guard revolted. Furious that Domitian's assassins had gone unpunished, they stormed the palace, seized Nerva, and held him hostage. The empire stood on the brink of civil war. And then came the moment that changed everything. Instead of fighting them, Nerva made a decision that stunned the world. He announced he would adopt a successor, not a relative, not a political puppet, but the greatest general of Rome, a man whose name alone could silence a rebellion: Marcus Ulpius Trajan, governor of Germania, conqueror, beloved by the legions. The Praetorian Guard fell silent. The legions cheered. And for the first time in years, Rome unified under a single hope. Nerva had done something revolutionary. He introduced the idea that emperors should be chosen by merit, not bloodline. It saved the empire. Months later, Nerva died peacefully, a luxury most emperors never experienced, and with that, Trajan ascended the throne. Rome had prepared itself for a warrior king, but what it got was something far greater. Trajan was disciplined, intelligent, charismatic, and humble, a rare combination in a world ruled by emperors who believed themselves gods. He treated senators as partners, not enemies. He walked among his soldiers without guards. He listened more than he spoke. Under Trajan, Rome's golden age truly began. He launched massive construction projects, new aqueducts, new roads, new forums, new harbors. He built granaries for the poor, schools for orphans, baths for the public. He repaired cities devastated by Domitian's neglect. The crown jewel of his legacy rose in marble and stone. Trajan's Forum, a symbol of wealth and confidence so extraordinary that ancient writers called it the grandest architectural achievement Rome had ever seen. But Trajan's Rome wasn't just prosperous, it was hungry. Trajan looked beyond the borders of the empire and saw an old enemy, the Dacians, led by their fierce king, Decebalus. For years they had humiliated Rome, raiding its borders and defying its authority. Trajan prepared for war. The campaign that followed would define his rule. The Dacian Wars were brutal. Forests burned, rivers ran red, mountains resounded with the clash of steel. Trajan personally led his armies, forging roads through rugged terrain, building bridges that seemed impossible, pushing deeper into Dacia than any Roman had dared. Decebalus resisted fiercely, But Trajan was relentless. When the dust settled, Rome had conquered Dacia, the defeated kingdoms. Gold poured into the empire. With newfound wealth, Trajan expanded Rome to its greatest size in history. No other emperor would match the empire's reach. Rome believed it had found its perfect ruler. The Senate gave him a title no emperor before or after would receive, Optimus Princeps, the best emperor. But even great emperors cannot escape time. Trajan spent his final years campaigning in the east, pushing Rome toward the Persian frontier. Exhaustion, age, and illness finally overwhelmed him. He died far from Rome, carried across the sea in mourning. Yet before death claimed him, Trajan made one final decision. He named a successor, a man who would build walls, cities, and legacies that last even to this day. Hadrian, a philosopher, a strategist, a traveler, a builder. The next chapter of Rome's golden era was about to begin. Nerva began the restoration. Trajan brought expansion and glory. But Hadrian, he would redefine Rome itself in Part 7. The story continues with the emperor who reshaped the world. Hadrian, the wall builder, the wanderer, the philosopher king.